Eugene, you're back, but the pace hasn't slowed at all because the weekend just passed. It was a big weekend for MMA in New Zealand, and it started off on Saturday night with Dunedin XFC.
Yeah, no. Went down to Dunedin, somewhere I've never been before, which is really interesting, and I found out it's a fantastic place. It runs at a different pace to Auckland, which was refreshing. I spent a couple of days down there, and a wonderful place full of good people. And on XSV's, the promotion with Matt Toa, it was an excellent promotion. And I can't say enough about how well Matt runs the ship down there and how well we were looked after. And just like, I love that. I love having perspective and knowing where I've come from. And, you know, sometimes you get too caught up in all these big shows and all the lights and cameras and action and stuff, but it's good to come back to a smaller show like that, but a good quality show, like great production, great fights, big crowd, a well-educated crowd. It was fantastic for me to kind of like to get amongst it again. Yeah.
And it was good that Matt brought a lot of North Island fighters down, and it was north-south a lot of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I got to commend Matt for that. Like that's a costly thing to do. What I'm hoping is he did have the stream. He was streaming it, and I'm hoping a lot of North Islanders who couldn't get down south, I'm hoping they bought the stream and supported Matt and supported MMA and supported the local boys, because for these promoters to keep doing this, they need to be able to make some money doing it. So I hope all the North Island fighters told their family and friends about the stream, and they all bought the stream, and Matt was able to do all right out of it. So yeah, it was pretty cool to see a whole bunch of North Island gyms down in the South Island, which doesn't ordinarily happen a lot because it's cost prohibitive, obviously, but hopefully Matt did all right out of it, and trust me, we were all very thankful that he was able to get us down there and get us opponents and get us doing what we love doing.
I know you wouldn't have seen all the fights down there, but the ones that you did see, what do you think about the standard of the fighting in New Zealand?
I saw some excellent young fighters there from the glimpses that I looked at. I saw some. I saw a good level of fighting, like good fundamentals, like good awareness of their environment they're in, and good awareness of their opponent, and measuring the distance and feinting. And you know, for such young fighters, there wasn't a whole lot of, they were very measured, is the thing that I noticed. There wasn't a whole lot of rushing and brawling. There was some of that, but there was also, just to kind of like counteract that, there was a lot of fighters like taking their time and trying to understand the game, and you could see that they're well trained by all the different various gyms up and down the country. So yeah, I was like really pleased with the level of MMA down there. I think that's where we want to be. Yeah, it was excellent.
You had the team there yourself, of course, and
I had a great team down there, and look, I had Kieran Joblin was on, and BJ Bland were on, and these guys, a couple of guys that have suffered because of the pandemic and stuff, so not knowing whether I'll be able to get them a fight in New Zealand or not, or whether some opponents will step up, or whether a promotion would step up. But look, we've got to be thankful to Matt. He was able to get Kieran off, who's at the moment has a contract with One Championship and the One Warrior Series, and Bijo, who, for all intents and purposes, has a contract with the PFL, but they cut the roster down. So so we're just keeping him busy until they pick the roster back up the following year, and they take all their accompaniment of people that they need in the season, and then he'll be back in. But in the meantime, we have to keep BJ busy. But also, like, to have those two guys on that card, that was such a fantastic thing, to have those fighters of that caliber on a local card, and to give a couple of local guys the opportunity to fight fighters of that caliber. Those local fighters, they lost, but like they didn't really lose, because you're going to get better fighting that caliber opposition. That's just how the sport is. This sport is not a sport you get better at by sitting back and just watching it all the time. You've got to put yourself out there, and you've got to participate in it. And that experience that they gain, even though they lost, you can't measure that in value. But that's that's so important. And again, respect and thank you to those guys. But Kieran showed his class and showed some improvements that he's been working on. And I have to commend Mark Timms, who did a lot of work with Kieran, leading into Kieran on the pads and stuff, and with the stand-up. So all credit goes to Mark Timms. He did an excellent job laying down a bit of a game plan with Kieran. And he fought phenomenally well and looked very comfortable out there. Had a beautiful measure on the distance and the speed and the timing, and went through a bit of adversity in the fight. Like, went through a bit of a scare. He did double the impact of a shot and got knocked down, but recovered well and came back to win. So I think for the next step for Kieran is to give the guys that won championship a ring and say we've kind of knocked the cobwebs out, like, get us over there. So hopefully that's the next step for him. And then BJ, again, it's just about keeping him busy till the next season of PFL. Fought another game opponent, another guy I got to give massive respect to, because Ian Blade's a guy that when a name comes across the desk, he just takes a fight, and he don't care who you are, don't care how big your name is. And when he jumps in the cage, he comes to fight, and you got to respect people like that. There's a lot of people in this industry, a lot of fighters out there. It's just like, I got a sore toenail, I got a sore ankle. They don't understand that. That takes them years for them to understand that you're giving away your career. Injuries are part and parcel of this sport. It's such a physical sport. You have to push your body to the limit. Injuries are a part of it. It's about working around injuries to an extent. And you get guys like Ian Blade, who are an example to a lot of fighters out there, and a lot of other young fighters, about how you need to be in a sport so demanding like this. And then I had Sam Hill and Baby Nansen, of course, who as people know, are well-known stand-up fighters, kickboxers, boxers. And the difficult thing about matching them is they obviously can't fight someone else who's a new professional. Like, they've had, you're talking about these guys having more than 50 fights already. So you can't fight someone who's on their professional debut. So they had to fight people with a bit of experience. And that's just the risk we take. And we just have to trust that our training and their sparring partners and the quality of their training is enough to kind of make up the difference. And also their experience. And I think in this fight, even though they were down in terms of MMA experience, they were up in fight experience, and I think that shone through. I think Baby was able to, use that experience to be patient and not rush things. She fought, she could have easily got frustrated and walked into a takedown or walked into something that she wasn't ready for. But she stayed patient, and she stuck to the game plan, and she came off the win, which is important in your debut. You want to always start your career off with a win. And then Sam, again, the composure of having 50 fights against some of the best people in New Zealand and Australia. You could see that when he was falling behind on the scorecards and they lost a point, that he stayed composed, stuck to the game plans, and listened really well. That's not. He's not a new professional. Sometimes it takes 10 fights before someone starts to even hear one instruction in the corner. But Sam straight away You know, like we'd give him some instruction, we'd get feedback straight away. Oh yeah, he can hear us, he can listen to us, he knows what he's doing, he's reacting straight away. That's a guy who's been in a lot of fisticuffs already. So again, his experience was able to shine through, went through a bit of adversity, was behind on the scorecards, and then came back to beat another really good opponent. So the fighting couple, husband and wife, got off to a good start in their little MMA careers. So those two were the fights that I was most nervous about, just because I know how much of their life they dedicate to the sport, and it's a stupid amount of dedication. Yeah, like they do what I do now, run a gym and run all these fighters and stuff. But obviously I'm not fighting at the moment, and they're still full blown into their career. So I got so much respect for them and the sacrifices they make. So to see all of that pay off, yeah, that really warmed my heart. So although it was good to see BJ and Kieran get the W, that was a pretty special one, seeing those two get the win for me. Yeah.
Cool. So really enjoyable trip down south.
Yeah, look, we got to support these promoters, man. And Matt Toa puts on an excellent show, as good as any show I've been to in New Zealand. We just need our little community to, you know, everybody watches the UFC and stuff, and everybody gets behind that, but none of that's possible without supporting the likes of the Matt Toas and the Jason Vorsters, King of the Ring. None of these guys are nothing without those people. So I can't stress how important it is to support those guys. Without them, there's nothing else. So respect to them, and yeah, just keep getting behind them.
Hey, thanks for talking to us. It sounds like a great weekend. Would have loved to have been there, but I did watch it on the stream. It was good. It was a good night.
No, thank you, Tony. It was an excellent night. Thank you.
Cheers.